Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome everyone. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating piece of research, literally titled The Psychology of Social Media Addiction. We're going to break down exactly what happens inside our brains when we compulsively scroll, like, and share. I mean, it's a topic that touches almost all of us, right? Yet we rarely stop to actually examine those invisible chemical loops and behavioral triggers that drive our screen time. So in this explainer, we'll be exploring the hidden psychological mechanisms that take an harmless everyday habit and turn it into a deeply ingrained clinical addiction.
Before we peel back those psychological layers, though, I really want you to ask yourself, are you spending too much time on social media? Just think about your own habits for a second. Maybe you grab your phone the absolute second you wake up, or you find yourself mindlessly swiping through feeds when you're just sitting at a red light. Research actually shows the average person taps, swipes, and clicks on their phone over 2,000 times a day. 2,000. Crazy, right? We all kind of have that intuitive sense of when we've been staring at the glowing rectangle just a bit too long. But today, we aren't just talking about your phone's weekly screen time report. We're going way deeper than that surface level stuff to uncover why it's so incredibly difficult to just put the device down.
So the core focus of our source material here is the psychology of people who spend too much time on social media. And the operative word there is psychology. We're looking strictly at the internal reality that mirrors that external behavior of endless scrolling. You see, when someone spends excessive time on these platforms, there's an actual fundamental shift in their brain state. The research highlights how variable reward schedules, which, by the way, are basically the exact same mechanics used in casino slot machines, keep our brains constantly hunting for that next hit of dopamine. Every single notification, every like, creates this unpredictable reward loop. So this isn't just about, bad habits or poor time management. It's about a very real, deeply rooted neurochemical process that's actively shaping our daily behavior. Section 1. Defining the addiction. Casual versus clinical. And this brilliantly illustrates the jarring duality presented in the research. On one hand, we have spending too much time, right? That's the observable behavior. It's that casual phrase we use when we're joking with friends about going down a massive TikTok rabbit hole. But the text aggressively contrasts this everyday behavior with a formal psychological state, social media addiction. The source takes a common habit and elevates it into a serious psychological condition by pointing out key clinical symptoms. We're talking severe withdrawal, intense FOMO, that fear of missing out, which leads to real anxiety when you're disconnected, plus a total loss of control over the behavior, even when it's causing negative consequences in real life. It's basically the stark difference between casually enjoying a dessert and having a compulsive eating disorder. The behavior might look similar at a quick glance, but the internal clinical reality, totally different. All right, let's officially define our terms based on the direct linkage provided in the research. Social media addiction is defined as the psychological condition linked to people who spend an excessive amount of time on social media platforms. Now, what makes this so fascinating and honestly kind of controversial is that the source material draws a straight, unambiguous line between the sheer volume of time spent and the existence of an addiction. It argues that the addiction isn't necessarily about what specific content you're looking at. I mean, you could be reading highly educational articles, arguing in the comment sections, or just lurking on photos of your friends' vacations. The actual content is entirely secondary. The defining metric, that bridge between a healthy mind and an addicted psychology, is explicitly tied to the sheer volume of time you spend locked into the platform's ecosystem. Because that prolonged exposure itself is what alters your dopamine baselines. Moving on to Section 2, the addicted mindset, the psychology behind the screen.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is how we can actually view these core concepts as a deeply interconnected cycle. It all starts with the psychology of the user. Think about those underlying thoughts, urges, and mental patterns. Things like stress, boredom, or just a really strong craving for social validation. This vulnerable mental state, it acts as the primer. And then it drives the catalyst, the physical act of spending way too much time rapidly scrolling and refreshing your feed. And remember, this isn't just passive viewing. It is active engagement with an algorithm that is literally designed to manipulate our attention. The constant influx of microstimuli just completely overwhelms our cognitive limits, which triggers that final shift into the resulting state of social media addiction. So the research seamlessly binds the user's initial emotional vulnerability, their physical time-spending habits, and the ultimate clinical diagnosis into one cohesive, self-reinforcing loop. Basically, the more time spent, the deeper the psychological dependency becomes.
Let's move to see how this builds into a really clear, frankly dangerous trajectory in our everyday behavior. I mean, almost everyone starts at step 1, casual use. You download the app to keep up with friends, and you just check it occasionally. It serves a clear, functional purpose. But then, driven by those variable rewards we talked about earlier, there's a behavioral shift to step 2, spending too much time. This is when you start checking your phone during dinner, in the middle of conversations, or staying up until 2 in the morning just bathed in that blue light. And this is the critical threshold, because once a user's behavior crosses into this excessive territory, the psychological shift happens, bringing us to step 3, social media addiction. At this point, the casual user has fundamentally transformed. Their brain actually requires the platform's stimuli just to feel normal. The app is no longer just a tool. It has literally become a psychological necessity.
And that brings us to section 3, the final takeaway, reflecting on the psychology.
So, the crucial point we arrive at here forces us to confront a very personal boundary. We've explored how a simple, observable act, heavy screen time, is inextricably linked to the neurochemical loops and behavioral triggers of a full-blown clinical addiction. We've seen exactly how the brain's baseline shifts, how variable rewards completely hijack our attention, and how the sheer volume of time spent overrides our ability to just log off. So, based on what we just learned from this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one thought. When does your too much time cross that invisible line into a psychological addiction? It's definitely a question worth asking the next time you unlock your screen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.